what do you make of Prigozhin's death and lack of comment from Russia's President Vladimir Putin?
Well, this is clearly a statement from Putin to get rid of a rival and to send a signal to other would-be challengers in Russia that their dissent will not be tolerated. It isn't surprising to me that Putin hasn't commented because there's nothing he can say that will send a stronger signal than what has just happened with the downing of Prigozhin's plane.
So now with Prigozhin dead, what impact do you think this will have on the Wagner Group?
Well, I think it will have a very extensive impact. In many ways, Wagner was Prigozhin. Wagner wasn't just a single group, but really it was a combination of entities all controlled by Prigozhin, and it included the paramilitary, mercenary force. It included disinformation. It included election interference. It included arms for minerals swaps. All of this was coordinated by Prigozhin in the interest of co-opting and helping prop up different African leaders, and in the process advancing Russian political influence in Africa. So Prigozhin's demise will be very damaging to Wagner's efforts on the continent.
We know you mentioned, the Wagner Group being in Africa. They are still operating there. Nobody knew that Prigozhin would be dead, yesterday and today. That's another story altogether. What's likely to be the role of the Wagner Group now operating in Africa? We know they've infiltrated the judiciary in some of the countries in Africa, as well as in intelligence. What should be their role be? Do you think they will continue operating now that Prigozhin is dead?
Well, I think what we'll see is that Russia will try to continue some of the activities that Wagner has been doing. They'll try to do that through state structures, as well as potentially other oligarchs who will try to step in and work in the same way that Wagner did. But I think that'll be very difficult to do, because it was really this multifaceted nature of what Wagner's activities involved. Many of these are illicit activities that are the main ways that Russia was gaining influence. It was through the irregular channels. It wasn't through conventional means like trade or investment or development assistance. And moreover, Wagner was, allegedly involved in extensive human rights abuses. And if this is something that the Russian state is now going to take control over, and Vladimir Putin himself said after the rebellion that, that Russia has always supported Wagner, then effectively that means that the Russian state is responsible for these human rights abuses. And so the plausible deniability that Wagner has provided Russia will no longer be in place.
Mr. Siegle, critics of Vladimir Putin have died mysteriously. There has been a string of them, some poisoned, others, just disappeared. What does this plane crash say about Vladimir Putin?
Well, I think it starkly reminds people that the Russian state under Putin is effectively operating as a criminal organization. If there was genuinely a concern about Prigozhin, then that should have been handled through the courts. The fact that he and other political rivals are simply eliminated, I think sends a chilling signal about just how the Russian government under Putin operates. And I think that has some very important takeaways for African leaders who may entertain engaging Russia, that they need to understand that they may be getting more than they bargained for. And it really underscores the ruthlessness with which Putin sees himself and the Russian state. And Putin often talks about wanting to create a new international order that moves away from the UN-based rules order. And I think this incident with the downing of Prigozhin's plane is an example of what that world order would look like.